Welcome to Fertility TV. Today, we're diving deep into this really inspirational journey of one of the phenomenal program participants who really prefers to keep her story private, which is why you're only going to hear her voice and not see her face. So if you're going through unexplained infertility, have been told that you need IVF and don't really want to do it, this story is really for you. In this video, we're going to talk about secondary infertility, magic pills, commitment and sticking to the plan, how to go from 3.5 years of trying to finally getting pregnant, and so much more. So stay with me. If you're excited to learn how she did it and what it took and to take down some useful notes for your own fertility journey, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and the like button so that you can get more inspirational stories that I share with all of you. All right, let's hear from her. All right, let's hear what she has to say.
We have been dealing with a case of secondary infertility. We tried without intervention for a whole year. I should have probably addressed it sooner, but we didn't because I thought it's just going to work out. It didn't. And so
Actually, I should stop right here and say it's really not uncommon to try for a year, and that's pretty standard. Even in a secondary fertility issue like hers, actually even more so because she was successful in the past. So why think that it's not going to be successful in the future? So it does make sense to try. So this to me is, not a fault unless she knew that there was something going on.
talked to my OB and he said, well, since he's not a fertility specialist, he can prescribe me Clomid and we can try that. And during that time, I had been researching my symptoms and I was pretty sure that I might have a progesterone issue, meaning that I would ovulate, but then my body would just not produce enough progesterone. And it always felt like it was all in vain and I wasn't going to get pregnant at all. So after a whole year, my OB referred me to a local fertility clinic. And there we learned that on my husband's side, everything was fine. The staff at the fertility clinic and the doctor, they were nice and everything, but I just didn't feel like they listened to anything I said. I felt like I was sitting there and talking to the doctor, and it was just, I don't know, he just wanted to do his protocol. That was it. And he said, okay, we're just going to run some tests.
So before we talk about her tests, look, your OB is well equipped to treat you to a certain extent, but like she mentioned, they're not fertility experts. So it's not uncommon for them to either just start with Clomid and actually end with Clomid with very little testing and then just to refer you to the IVF doctor. She went there knowing that and feeling like she had a progesterone issue. So the common thing at a fertility clinic is that they're just going to say, well, we'll take care of that when we do IVF. We'll just put you on progesterone. But what should have been done is that her OB just said, well, let's just start with progesterone in your luteal phase to see if that is the solution that gives us the results that we're looking for.
Did some super basic blood work and we made sure my tubes were open. And that was that. And he didn't explain anything to me other than everything looks fine, except maybe your thyroid is a little bit sluggish.
So most docs don't explain much to you because they just don't have the time. But you all deserve answers and you need explanations because the more information you have, the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to follow instructions and also seek out additional help for yourself. So he did mention that her thyroid was a little bit sluggish. Let's see what he said.
And when I asked him about the progesterone, he said, oh, you're spotting, you might have endometriosis, but there's no way to find out other than surgery. And that was the end of the story. So they put me on a low dose of Synthroid and they told me I had unexplained infertility. And then they said, let's do 3 cycles of IUI. But then, after that, we might have to do IVF. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that because I've been pregnant before.
Good for her. Good for her. At least they did put her on Synthroid, which is a good first step to address her thyroid levels. She was comfortable with the IUI. She was not comfortable with IVF. And she knew that she was successful before. So she had the wherewithal and the understanding to recognize that IVF wouldn't be a real solution for her, or shouldn't be, because she shouldn't be able to get pregnant on her own. Done it once before.
And I just know deep down in my heart that I can be pregnant again without IVF. And I wasn't going to go through all of that. We did the IUI, but I just knew after a few days that I wasn't pregnant, like that I wasn't going to be pregnant. It just felt like my body didn't even want us to work on this whole thing. Nobody listened. Like when I asked the doctor, like, hey, is there, like, what about progesterone? He was like, no, like, you ovulated, you're fine. And so we could have done 3 rounds. After the second round, 7 days later, they want to do the blood work for progesterone. And I just walked out, and I just felt like they just wanted to move forward with IVF, and that was it. And I just walked out, and nobody ever followed up with me to ask me, hey, what happened? Are you pregnant? Are you not? Nobody ever followed up with me. So I just
Such a shame.
Like the way that whole thing went down. The whole journey became difficult at that point in time. It really got to, my husband and I, and our daughter was asking for a sibling, and we're like, maybe you'll have one, maybe you won't, we don't know. And at that time, I actually had a friend who had similar issues, and she referred me to Marc's YouTube channel, and she said, watch the guy's YouTube videos. You're like, this is very enlightening. And at that point, I was ready to really throw that idea of the magic pill out of the window and really start from scratch.
This is where she realized there's no such thing as a magic pill. She realized that we had to find real answers. And I'm so happy she did, because that's how she started to see change. Let's hear it.
Start looking at, how do I fix my cycle so I can be healthy, so I can finally be pregnant, because I knew I could be pregnant. And so in the beginning of 2021, so at that point, we were 3.5 years into our journey, I started the program, the Hope Fertility program with Marc, because, as I said, I wanted an in-depth analysis of my fertility issues, and then we wanted to keep trying naturally. So the whole program just sounded perfect. When we had the one-on-one conversation with Marc, I felt like he was listening, actually listening to what we were saying. And it was such a relief. I just felt like I could hand over this case and be well taken care of. When I got my plan, I
have to comment here, because we hear this all the time. When myself and my team do these calls and we have these conversations with our members, they often invariably say, this is the first time that I feel someone listened to me, that they heard me. It's really important, because if you don't, then you miss so many things, right? She also mentioned that she felt confident at this point, kind of turning things over to somebody else to guide her. That's exactly what we did.
It felt like it was tailored to my specific case and not the one-size-fits-all approach that we had experienced before. And it still took a lot of commitment to stick to the plan. For the first time ever, I felt so great for the whole months. I had no acne. I had no PMS. I was surprised by my period. Well, I wasn't surprised. Of course, I was tracking everything. But it felt like I was surprised, because it just felt so even keeled and just very well physically and mentally. I do want to add, it still took us until summer 2022.
Yeah.
So
look, it took a while. She joined in, I can't remember what she said, 2021, I don't remember, but she had been trying for 3.5 years prior to joining. And it still took some time, because change doesn't happen overnight. But she was able to track her change and recognize that she was seeing progress and she was feeling great. So in her mind, she was making progress. I do recall having to make a couple adjustments to her plan as we went along to continue that progress and see the change that we wanted to see the change with. But she was able to conceive, as she mentioned, in summer 2022.
I had to stick to the plan for well over a year.
Yeah.
But then we became pregnant.
So this is so valuable to hear. Commitment, following the plan, the process. It took her over a year. I think it was closer to like 1 year and 3 months or 1 year and 4 months before she finally got the pregnancy results, the positive pregnancy. And then obviously you've got to just make sure it maintains, and she was able to get through her pregnancy. But it took time and adjustments and refinement and persistence and patience on her part, that she was seeing all the right things and she just had to trust in the process. And that was something I had to remind her. You're doing all the right things. We're seeing change. You're doing well. Everything's improving. Now it's just a matter of time. When's it going to happen? And often that is actually the hardest piece for everybody, is the patience and the time and the commitment to see the change and follow through with the plan to see that the process actually worked. She made it through. She was committed to it. She was able to see that happen. And I do believe that that's possible for so many, including you. Now it's your time. What if you could be the next success story? If you're ready to get a personalized fertility plan, head to marcsklar.com/discovery call to speak to a real person on my team so we can identify if having me as your fertility coach is the right next step for you on your fertility journey. I'm going to put that link in the description below as well. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you're not already a subscriber to my YouTube channel, hit that bell to subscribe so you can get notified when I put out another video for all of you. And I want to hear from you. Comment below and let me know what part of her story really resonated with you. And what questions do you have about your fertility journey? And now I do want to share some other success stories, which I'm also going to leave down below to continue to foster this hope inside of you and allow it to grow so that you can achieve the pregnancy of your dreams. And then I will see you in the next video. Stay fertile.